What's going on, everybody? Good morning, good evening, wherever you are, and whatever time it is. Welcome back to yet another video with you, man, Immersiaholic. And ladies and gentlemen, welcome to our final episode of the Lusitani head-to-head campaign, taking on my man Toxborg in the Divided to Impera mod for Total War Rome 2. That's right, ladies and gentlemen, today is our final episode. I won't spoil it here on what's going to happen, but there will be a future head-to-head campaign happening. There will be a special announcement about that at the end of this video. So even if you don't want to watch the whole video, I highly recommend you at least use the timestamps down below to go ahead and check out what the announcement for our next head-to-head campaign will be. You will not want to miss it. We have some exciting factions coming up in a very cool campaign. But in the meantime, let's talk a little bit about what is happening for us here as the Lusitani. So up in the north, Massalia has retaken Bertigala. They have one large army just next to our three armies, so we will auto-resolve that away fairly easily. We do need to be careful though that the Nervii don't have any armies in ambush, but thankfully they didn't, so we will just push the Massalians out of our territory. And even though it's winter and we have very limited movement range, we can move all of our armies to be able to reinforce our main ones. So, like I said, we'll auto-resolve that away, and the Massalians will get wiped out without issue. At least that army will be. And there we have it. We get a decisive victory against them. Their entire army is gone, but we won't stop there. We'll continue the push north, and we'll retake Bertigala. No need to fight this battle manually, we'll just auto-resolve that one away as well, and it'll just be one of our armies taking on the city garrison. Yet another decisive victory, although this time we will not liberate the city, instead we will occupy it permanently. In fact, we'll also loot it a little bit and get some money. So Bertigala will now be our main base of holding Nervii incursions from the north, and so we will keep our army inside it, or at least just around it to reinforce it when necessary. Meanwhile though, on the eastern Iberian coast, the Nervii managed to spot our Editani army that we had just received from our recent confederation, and because they spotted it, they were able to push it back towards the town of Ars, and now they're assaulting the town of Ars and attacking that army as well. That army is in really poor condition. The AI did not recruit very good units for it. We did fight the battle manually, but I won't bother showing it to you guys, as it was a very long-winded battle and not really a lot. There wasn't really a lot that happened besides our units just routing off the battlefield. And many of them routed too with like half of our strength left. Our general was still alive as well, but he just couldn't handle it. The Editani units rout off the field and we lose the city of Ars. In the meantime though, we have a major victory where we actually get peace with some of the massive factions in Gaul. Specifically, we get peace with the Averni. The Averni have been a massive thorn in our side. We've wiped out a few of their armies, but having those armies on top of the Nervii has been very taxing on our own men. So getting that peace deal means that we can actually expand north into northern Gaul against the Nervii without having to worry about the Averni. And in fact, we'll continue our expansion by taking the city of Tolosa from Massalia right now. They did have a massive Averni army next door, but because the Averni actually backed out of the war and betrayed the Massalians, we'll take the city of Tolosa without many losses whatsoever. We do liberate the city though, just to get one ally in the region, and hopefully this ally will not be useless and actually will help out, although it is a Celtic ally, so we're not expecting too much with their armies. Another Averni army is next to the city of Narbo here, but again, they are now at peace with us, so we'll continue our march towards the eastern coastline and auto-resolve away this city as well. A decisive victory and the entire garrison gets wiped out, and we will also liberate this town as well. So we have two little basically Celtic city-states that will be our allies, so that's helpful. And hopefully their armies will come into be of great use against the other Gauls in the area that are still wanting to fight us. Meanwhile though, the Nervii do not stop and hold the city of Ars. Instead, they occupy it and then move on to attack the city of Kartuba. They're obviously trying to go towards our capital. It looks very dire, but we do have many armies coming down south Specifically, we do have our king leading a second army alongside of his own. So even though the city of Kartuba is looking like it's probably going to fall, the situation is kind of under control, although we'll see what happens here. But here comes our king now, down to a Placia, and then he has a large army reinforcing as well with lots of infantry. So this should be the perfect ideal army to stop these Nervii armies. The king leads a very professional army corps, lots of bear warriors, elephants, Balearic slingers. He has everything he could possibly need. Although in the meantime, we will recruit a general at the city of Kartuba, and we will give him what mercenary units we can afford. But we're actually really poor with our economy at the moment, so it won't be a lot. Back in the north, though, we do still see Nervii incursions coming in towards Bertigala. We wipe out a bunch of their army stacks, and then within a couple turns, they have more coming. Although we are feeling fairly confident as we can predict where they're coming from, and we have the city of Bertigala to hold them, which is a walled settlement, so it will not be easy for them to take. We do have our armies outside of the city, but we will actually pull them back towards the city momentarily, and they'll have to use the walls to try and nullify the numbers of the Nervii. Speaking of Nervii, here they are finally besieging the city of Kartuba. They don't assault it instantly, although they could have and tried to avoid our king's reinforcements. But they will not. Their two armies will gather just outside of the city, and our general leading inside with his mercenary unit and the large garrison that we have will hopefully be enough to hold out. We'll have to wait and see. It's very unlikely. One thing about playing as a Lusitani is that your garrisons suck. They are absolutely terrible. It's almost not worth fighting defensive battles with them, to be honest. But we'll see what happens. In the meantime, though, we do continue our march towards Kartuba with our king and his other army. And there's also another army coming to the north behind him. You can see it at the very top of the screen right now. That army will be going towards us, and then we'll be coming towards Kartuba if necessary to finish off the Nervii with our own armies. Continue moving our armies forward very slowly with some agents around them. Toxborg actually sent one of his Nervii armies into an ambush, so we're only trying to move forward a little bit at a time here, trying to take our time so we don't get ambushed and throw away an army for no reason. But thankfully, we will spot that other army shortly. But it should be in this circle, basically. I know it has to be around here somewhere, so we continue moving slowly forward. One of our armies runs out of movement points, but then in the next turn, our king can actually keep pushing forward now that he sees the ambushing army. I'm not sure how it became revealed, but it did. Maybe due to our general's army or something. Or our king's army, I should say. But regardless, our king can now march forward and attack the city, or attack the army besieging the city of Kartuba. However, ladies and gentlemen, this is where things take a very bad turn for the campaign. And I'm not necessarily talking gameplay-wise. Because at the time of this siege happening and this battle happening, me and my man Toxborg stopped recording and took a break and came back on the next weekend and began recording. However, between us initiating this battle and then our next session of me and Toxborg recording, the 1.2.8 update was released on Steam. And unfortunately, we were playing this campaign using the Steam version of the mod, and because of that, we're going to see a lot of technical issues pop up with the campaign. For example, this is one of the first things that we saw when we began playing again after the update occurred. We had constant desync issues, desync detected. We had never had this before the update. The only thing that has changed in our game is the update, so I have to assume that the update has made it a little bit unstable for multiplayer campaigns, or at least going from one campaign to another. Starting a new campaign is absolutely fine on the update. I've already tested it with my mate Toxborg, so if you're doing your own multiplayer campaigns, don't worry, you should be fine. It's just we are getting a little bit screwed over here because we continue playing from one update to another, which is our own fault and our mistake. We shouldn't have been using the Steam version. So when we actually came back to playing, this is what happened instead. Our king could no longer reach the Nervii for some reason. I have no idea why. And so the garrison was left entirely on its own devices. And so we ended up fighting that battle manually. That actually did work, so that was good. But we basically lost the city of Kartuba because our king could no longer reach that same army for some reason. There's no real reason for it, he just wouldn't go that far anymore. Ignoring that though, we do try to continue playing the campaign. So here we have our general of the Second Army assaulting the city of Kartuba, and then we'll also bring our king forward. But the king won't assault the city. Instead, he will directly assault the army outside of the city. And so because we're besieging Kartuba, this will turn out to be just a 1v1 army battle. He is in a fort position, so it's very defendable though. It's not really the kind of battle I want to take, but we had to. Again, that's another battle we fought manually, but because this is our last episode, I'm not going to bother showing it. And we're almost at the end of our gameplay here anyway, because we do have more technical issues on the way. But regardless, we do beat that large Nervii army, and now there is only one major army left inside of the city of Kartuba. However, our king is on the opposite side of the city, and due to how the gameplay works in terms of reinforcements, our king could not reinforce our other army. Even though if our armies besiege the city, our king could reinforce. So that's a really dumb and annoying thing regarding the area of reinforcement there, which is very frustrating. We ended up just retreating from that, but then after that we had another crash, and after that crash occurred, we still managed to pull that army away, but then our king was left entirely on his own. I tried to retreat him away, but in typical Rome 2 fashion, he just ran towards the river. It turned out to be a 1 versus 1 battle. I didn't even bother fighting the battle manually, though, as there's no way we could win. And after we had already had so many crashes, and I had already been screwed over a couple times now by bugs due to my king's army not being able to move in certain spots or reinforce the other army, we just auto-resolved it away and continued playing just to see what would happen. Would we keep getting technical issues, or could we get over it? So a couple turns pass, and our army that was coming in from the north towards us gets redirected towards Kartuba, and now we have 2 full stack armies and a small one attacking the 2 Nervii armies. But this is definitely where we finally gave up and ended the campaign. We tried to fight this battle manually multiple times, and every single time me and Toxborg did, the game would just crash. And so, ladies and gentlemen, me and my mate Toxborg have decided to end our Lusitani and Nervii head-to-head campaign here, and we are calling it a draw. Even though he is deep in my territory, he is about to get wiped out. It's just that we quite literally could not actually play that battle to wipe him out. So we were getting screwed over by the game there. Back up in Gaul, he does have armies coming in. I have armies pushing north, though. It's just basically a complete mess, and because of the technical issues we're having, we're just going to call it a draw here for now, and just call it quits here. I did try and fix the game, but eventually, basically, the save file got corrupted, and because of that, we're not going to go back a bunch of turns and play battles that we already have. We're just going to call it here. We've had a long campaign, though. This is episode 9, I believe, so even though it's not that many episodes, it's actually a lot of time spent on gameplay. We actually recorded these videos at about 3 to 4 hours each, so each video is usually cut out from about 3 hours of footage, at least from my point of view. So that's been hectic, but what do we do next? Next, ladies and gentlemen, we have the Roman Republic taking on the Seleucid Empire, but this will not be occurring in the Grand Campaign. Instead, this will be occurring on the Macedonian Wars map that the Divided Impera team has provided. The Macedonian Wars is basically an overhaul of the DLC called Wrath of Sparta. The Wrath of Sparta mod focuses on the Peloponnesian Wars and focuses heavily on Greece and Anatolia. So what the DEI team has done is they have overhauled that entire DLC to be focusing instead on the time period of Rome invading Macedon and then basically taking over all of Greece. So I will be playing as Rome, the Roman Republic. We have this very small island on the west of Greece, and my man Toxborg will be playing as the Seleucids as we vie for dominance of all of the Greeks. But that head-to-head campaign won't be happening for quite a while. I will post announcements in the Discord, especially to those of you who are supporters. You'll see it coming with some behind-the-scenes content and warnings and stuff, so keep an eye out for that on Discord. But otherwise, ladies and gentlemen, I really appreciate you all watching this series. I apologize for it ending on such a disappointing note, but it is what it is. Next time, me and Toxborg know better to not use the Steam version, and instead we can avoid further crashes, hopefully. in future campaigns. We'll have to wait and see what happens, though. You never know. With these Total War games, bugs do appear, and sometimes they can't be avoided. And in this instance, they couldn't be avoided. So again, apologies for that. But I sincerely appreciate you all coming out and watching this campaign along with me and Toxborg. Thank you all so much for watching. Hope you guys enjoyed, and I shall see you in the next one.